Hello, my lovely friends. My name is Ava, and here are some romances with no third act breakups. I love romances with no third act breakups. I do feel like sometimes it needs to happen, but sometimes it doesn't. I feel like sometimes a breakup can be pointless. Here are 10 romances you can pick up if you want to make sure there is no third act breakup. I think I have one previous rec video with this trope. I'll link it down below. But here are a bunch more. The first one that I have is The Co-op by Tarah DeWitt. Can we talk about this new cover? I love this new cover. Don't get me wrong, I did enjoy the last one as well. This one though, freaking stunning. So this is a second chance romance, kind of hate to love. It is hate to love, not kind of. And that is because when they were first together, I think I want to say in like high school, they hooked up. It didn't really end well. They've always had like a bad taste in their mouths when they like think of the other person. It's years later, both of their grandparents who were best friends passed away and they shared this duplex, gave their respective grandchildren their part of the duplex in the will when they passed away. They passed away like very close together. And so these two have nowhere else to live. They end up living in this rundown duplex and are going to try and fix it up and sell it for a higher profit, but they have to live in this duplex together during that, and they don't like each other at all. Like, they have this angsty animosity relationship between the two, and it all stems from what happened years ago, but it's also really funny. This book is really funny. Tarah DeWitt can make me laugh, but there's no third act breakup in this one. So anyway, I'm going to stop saying that though, because none of these books have a third act breakup. If you want more of an emotional read, I have A 5-Minute Life by Emma Scott. Our hero has gone through a lot. Recently, he doesn't talk all that much, and he ends up moving to a new town and gets a job as basically kind of like a janitor at this mental hospital. And there he ends up meeting the heroine in the waiting room. And he's like entranced by her. She's looking at one of the paintings on the wall and is like talking to him about like how beautiful it is and like commenting on the artistry because she loves to paint. And one of the doctors walks by and is like, hey, like, what are you doing with one of our patients? And he's like, wait, what? He has no idea that she is one of the patients. She was in an accident a few years ago. Both of her parents ended up passing away. She ended up getting amnesia. So she can only remember 5 minutes and then time resets to 2 years ago, which is wild. And the hero just like gives himself distance from her. The hero distances himself from her because he's very attracted to her. And he's like, I cannot be attracted to a patient. She is going through some stuff. I cannot interfere with what she's going through. And the doctors have kind of just been like, this is how she's going to be for the rest of her life. There's nothing else we can do. But then he's slowly realizing, wait a minute, I think she's remembering things. You have to read it to figure it out, but it is so good. It's so emotional. Emma Scott knows how to rip out your heart, but then put back the pieces at the end. I'm so glad this book is on this list because it's so freaking good. It's my favorite book from last month. This is Lights Out by Navessa. This is like a dark romance that is also kind of like a rom-com. So our hero in here is a masked man on TikTok. So he makes like masked man thirst trap videos. He ends up finding out that his roommate's ex-hookup buddy, who is very attracted to, actually watches his videos and is like a fangirl of him. No one knows who he is though. No one knows that that's who that is. So he starts stalking her and hacking into all of her devices, trying to get under her skin. At first she's terrified, but then she actually becomes like very attracted to what he's doing. Just very into him. I don't blame her. I'm very into him as well. So I freaking love this one. If you want to laugh, but also be so hot and bothered, like look no further. The audiobook narration is absolutely fantastic. It's a duet narration. I cannot hype this book up enough. Then I have Silent Lies by Neva Altaj, which is book number 8 in the Perfectly Imperfect series. This one is an age gap, arranged marriage, mafia romance. I think every single one of the books in the series is age gap, mafia, arranged marriage, like all 3 of those tropes. For those wondering, it is book number 8, but you don't need to read the books in order. You don't, like, they're fairly have nothing to do with one another. This one is an arranged marriage romance, like I said, between Sienna and Drago. They are from rivaling mafia families, and Sienna's mafia boss from her original one is like, hey, I want you to marry him but also spy on him, even though Drago kind of knows like the whole time like what she's doing. So they both refuse to let the other person like get to know them more and get under their skin because they don't want to become vulnerable to one another. They can't help themselves. The hero is hard of hearing, so there's that representation. Done and Dusted by Lyla Sage is a cowboy romance. It's very short and sweet about this woman who I think was thrown off of her horse. She was like a barrel racer, I think, and she got thrown off of her horse and she experienced an injury and she's kind of scared to get back on, and the hero like helps her with her confidence and stuff like that after she moves back home, and he works on the ranch that her dad runs. Really simple, short and sweet. I think it's like only like 280 pages or something like that. It's a very short book. The Plus One by Maisie Eddings is surprisingly a fake dating romance I really enjoyed. I don't really like fake dating romances. It's not really the trope that I enjoy. This one is really good. It's about Indira and Jude, and they're kind of like rivals. They don't really like each other. I think Jude is her best friend's brother, if I'm not mistaken, and they end up having to go to a wedding where one of the groomsmen is Indira's ex-boyfriend who recently cheated on her and is bringing along as his date the woman that he cheated on Indira with. So Jude is like, hey, how about I be your fake boyfriend for this wedding, even though we like hate each other, but like I really hate your ex-boyfriend a lot, so let's try and make him jealous. So they do fake date at this wedding. I do love like the wedding setting. It was really fun. Set the Record Straight by Hannah Bonham Young is a good little sapphic novella to pick up, especially during this time of year. It is like a holiday read. This is a best friends to lovers romance. So one of our heroines is a lesbian, and then the other one is very adamant that she is straight. Like she hasn't really thought about her sexuality all that much, but she's like, yeah, I'm straight. But then she ends up getting a new job at this art gallery, and for some reason the owner thinks that she has a girlfriend, that she's gay, and she's like, crap, I don't want to like tell her no. Like she doesn't know how to tell her girlboss like, no, I'm not gay. So she just goes along with it, and they're having I think like a holiday Christmas party or something, and she asks her best friend like, hey, can you be my fake girlfriend for this party, because like I need to bring my girlfriend, but I only like know you. She's like, yeah, sure. Little does she know that her best friend has actually been pining after her for years, but has known like nothing's gonna happen because my best friend is straight. But then they have a kiss at the end of the night. One of the heroines realizes, oh, I don't think I'm straight. That was a very hot kiss. That's like probably the best kiss I've ever had in my life. So that's all I want to say about that one. It's such a cute, hot romance. Taken to Nobu by Elizabeth Stevens is an alien romance you should pick up. It's one of my favorites. I read it last year. The heroine was previously abused on this moon of slaves, and she's rescued by our hero, and she's in cryogenic sleep, like healing for a few months, and doesn't know where she is, who she is, but she wakes up on this ice planet, like covered in snow, and turns out she wakes up in the middle of this ritual where alien men are going to hunt down women. Like they're going to be released to the wild, the women are going to run away, and whoever the hero catches is who like his mate is for that season or something like that. Heroine has only been abused by men her entire life on this slave moon, and she's like, I'm not going to be doing that with a man. She doesn't know that they're not doing it like maliciously. It's just a ritual that they do. So she runs hardcore to get out of there. But then the hero, who is the one who saved her from that moon, only wants her. So he's hunting high and low for her. This is one of my favorite alien romances. It's so freaking good. Kiki is such a kick-ass heroine, and the hero is so kind and gentle with her, and it's like, I'm gonna wait for you however long that takes. Take whatever time you need. A monster romance is Mantras and Minotaurs by Ashley Bennett. This is book number 3 in her Leviathan Fitness series, which is her monster romance series. Takes place in this small town where humans and monsters kind of like live together in harmony. But this is an older couple romance. I believe both these characters are in their late 40s. The heroine of the story is actually the mother of the first 2 books, like humans in the books. So this is her romance. Her husband died. She now just like lives in an apartment, like knitting all day, watching TV, and living with her cat. And she gets kind of lonely, so she downloads a dating app, and there she meets Alistair, our Minotaur hero, and she kind of falls for him, but he's only in town visiting his daughter. He actually lives a few states away, so they have a long distance relationship, but they know how to make it a very hot long distance relationship, and it turns into like something more after time, because I think they try to keep it more casual, but they can't help but fall for each other in the end. And lastly, I have Yearning for Her by Tiffany Roberts. This is another monster romance. This one is about an incubus, which if you don't know what an incubus is, it's a male version of a succubus, which is a monster creature that feeds off of sexual pleasure. It's basically our world, but they don't know that like monsters exist. So the heroine of the story just recently broke up with her ex-boyfriend like that day, because he was being a total creep, disgusting man, and so she broke up with him. And she bumps into our hero, who is the incubus, and is like, hey, I can make you feel good tonight, like come with me. And she's like, okay, great. And she has a one night with him, and she wakes up the next morning and goes off with her day, like leaves him in bed, and she's like, that was a grand old time, I had a great time. And then the hero wakes up hours later, and he's like, where did she go? Turns out an incubus only sleeps for like a short amount of time and has to feed very often off of pleasure, whether it be like sexually or just like watching people or touching someone, whatever the case may be. They have to feed often. He slept for hours. He's like never been fully charged like that by someone before, and he's like, what the heck? And then he finds he can't feed off of anyone else after that night. And so he's turning into like this husk of a being because he literally cannot feed off of anyone. His body will not let him. So he's trying to find this woman. He doesn't even know like where to find her. So he's literally walking the streets trying to find the woman he can only feed off of. When he finally does, all bets are off. He's like, you're mine. So I really love this one. If you want like a funny, fun, rom-com, hot monster romance, I definitely recommend Yearning for her. Anyways, there you have it. Those are some romances with no third act breakups. Let me know down below if you read any of these books or if you plan to. And if you don't feel like commenting anything else, you can leave me, let's do any flower emoji in the comment section down below. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I will see y'all soon in my next one. Bye y'all.